We are live. Straight into it today.
Hey
no
guys.
Messing around.
That's better. I'm looking at the markets whilst you dance.
Mate, I'm still on the old LD, so not much dancing for me at the moment.
Not much dancing?
No. I refuse to say the word in protest.
I see.
So, in case you're wondering, it is a bit of a low-key welcome. Andy's just had some sort of alert, or he's looking at ADA. That's Cardano for the non-crypto folks.
Massive pump, massive move in a very, very quick move. It's gone from 148 to 156.60 in half an hour.
Wow, that's over 20%.
Yeah, no, not that much, but it's a big move in a very quick period. So some news definitely must have come out. Good volume as well.
So that'll be interesting. Actually, we'll jump straight to it. We'll just say hi to a few people in the house. So if you're new, fantastic, congratulations, welcome. My name's Gavin, the host. This man to my left is Mr. Andy Demi, professional trader of over 18 years. What this man doesn't know about trading, you can write on the back of a postage stamp. He doesn't know a lot about much other things, but trading, he is definitely our man. One thing you don't know that much about, mate, is football starting again this weekend. Are you excited? Just on a slight tangent.
Yeah, would like to see a marquee signing, but where I trust Klopp.
In Klopp, we trust. So getting back to it, if you're new, please click on the StreamYard link below so that you can show us your name and your photo, like Zach, coming to us live from Japan. Good to have you with us, my friend. He's saying hello to everyone. Andy's in the house as well, Andrew McAlpine. Good to have you with us. Good afternoon, team. First comment in the house today, Kevin. And I love that photo. Cool car. Great photo. Just what we like to see in our tribe. Real people, no spammers, everybody adding value to the group and helping us all with our collective goal of learning how to read the charts like a professional trader and making some of that Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge?
Moulin Rouge. Hey, have you been there in Paris? Moulin Rouge.
I've been to Paris, yeah.
Did you go to the Moulin Rouge though? I bet you didn't.
Probably. Can't remember.
Wow. Okay, someone help me out here. If you've been to the Moulin Rouge, you would know about it.
I remember eating nice
There's
food.
no way that you can forget that. In the Moulin Rouge?
No, just eating nice food in general. I remember the important things in life.
Wait,
mate.
You probably just go to Paris and have a croissant and a coffee.
You just go places, just take pictures. You don't even see the things, you just see them through your lenses. I enjoy food.
You sound like my missus. You sound like my missus.
You see?
As long as she's a foodie.
Mate. We make sense.
Wow. Scarily so. Scarily so. So look, let's jump into it because the market is moving again and it's going upwards. Are we going to break through that big resistance that you were speaking about last week? What is likely to happen? But just give us, before we look at the charts, just give us like your overall opinion of how you're feeling in the market. What are some of the things that you're noticing? Obviously, Bitcoin's at a resistance point. Ethereum's had its news come out about better gas fees or lower gas fees. Is that what's caused the pump for Ethereum in the past week? Are we going to have a dip?
We've had
Obviously, we'll get in.
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
No, we're going.
No, I mean, we've had the hard fork in London for Ethereum, and that's just caused a natural a push in Ethereum. Maybe it's even driven the whole market up. So, yeah, I mean, Ethereum's looking nice. Obviously, the whole market has retraced. I think there's got to be a little bit of caution as well. So you don't want to kind of be in over leveraged positions. But we'll look at the markets. My tactic hasn't changed. So you've got to be careful not to get overexcited with what's going on. So my tactic has been accumulate coins that you're interested in, projects that you're interested in, buy them on spot so that you're you're not at risk. And I'm not margin positioning. I'm not margin positioning anything at the moment, because if you margin position, you're basically saying that we are now in an uptrend and we're going higher. And I'm not really kind of ready to say that. And I think it's a little bit premature to say that right now. So instead, I am trading very effectively on my futures account, and I'm taking advantage of the moves. I'm mostly trading Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's predominantly where my focus is for trading purposes. But every now and again, I'll trade something else if I see a good opportunity. But those two are the ones that I'm mostly focusing on for trading, and I'm just buying coins that I like. So Cardano is one of those. And I was just saying just now that we've had a little bit of a pump in the last sort of 30 minutes. I've only just seen it just before we got on. And I've got a good position on this one in my spot account. And I'll start here very briefly just to show you something. And then I know we want to focus on Bitcoin and Ethereum. But I was looking at this, just show you something around. Yeah, so I noticed something the other day. And this is why today's daily buy is really important, guys. This is what I noticed. That green line. Can you see that? If I just make this a little bit bigger for you, can you see that this market has acted as resistance 3 times there to the left, as support? Then we had some range. Market broke down, acted as resistance. And look where we're doing right now, that we got there. And so here's, my thought here was, well, we need to break this line. We need to close above here. And then that opens the door for more upside. And right now, this is today's current daily bar. Now, normally, when there's a major resistance like that, the market needs some kind of stimulus to push through. And it looks like something has been said about Cardano, because we've had a really nice pump and it's on an increase in volume right now. It's just happened, guys. So this is like, live reporting, basically. It's not 3 weeks ago. So it's just happened right now. Okay. So right now, here's what you need to do. You need to look for a close above 150. What you can do, if you like Cardano, is you can look to buy it just above 150, stick your order in, and then see if this market closes above 150. Because often when there's a breakout, the market, maybe 50% of the time, will come back and test that breakout zone. So 150 becomes support, which was resistance. So if you're interested in this project, that would be a really nice, somewhere there, just above 150, even 151, 20, something like that. You buy it, and then you wait to see how this little bar closes. If we end up with a high test, you might want to close that position. Okay, that's kind of the approach. Now, if this market doesn't pull back, then what we would expect to happen is that the market potentially goes up to its D point, which is around 163, and then it will most likely pull back. And so again, you could just take your Fibonacci and look for the pullback from this zone here. So if you're, so you could take the current A, that brings you down to there as the 618, 148. Or we could go with the last swing. That brings you down to 152.75. So a conservative entry would be about 152.75 if this market did go up to here. And then you'd be looking for that nice little pullback around there. So all in all, it's looking bullish. Let's see what happens. I'd like to buy some more. I mean, I've got, like I said, I've got a good sized position, but I wouldn't mind buying a couple more £1,000 worth if we can get a nice little entry. Because as I said, what I've been doing is I've basically accumulating these coins as they've been going down, and even as they're showing strength, I'm accumulating more for the long term. You can see there it's really pushing, and it's got a nice momentum there. We could see 163 and then a pullback. So and I'll do one more thing, guys, and then I'll have a little look, and then I'll stop for a sec. So I'm just going to put this ETI at 1.5, and that takes us up, yeah, very close to that kind of 163. You can see there it's looking quite nice. Shall I quickly have a little look at Bitcoin, guys? Because this one is show me a slightly different picture right now. But I ultimately think this is also going higher.
Just before we carry on with Bitcoin, obviously, if you're watching at home, either live or on the replay, do your own research. That goes without saying. Excuse me. What's your kind of feeling or prediction on where Bitcoin will kind of end up around by the end of the year? Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's hard to say at this point. My thoughts have been that, you know, we can also talk about it as I'm looking at the charts. My thoughts have been that we will stay below the highs, but that can change. Obviously, we've had a nice move right now, and that's, yeah. I mean, right now, I think there's some key things that we need to sort of break to really show me that there's potential for this to go higher. And for me, this area here is really, really key, 48 to 50,000. If we see a close above that, we will start to look quite bullish on this. But I'm not yet overly convinced. I think there's some good signs. I think we'll push up to this next level here. My preference is Ethereum over Bitcoin. Like, what you might get is you may get some projects, you know, breaking their highs, but that doesn't necessarily mean Bitcoin's going to lead them there. It could just be the individual projects. So I think it's too soon to say, to be honest with you, Gav. I think if I really had strong conviction either way, then I would say. But I think right now, you know, there's arguments for both the bear side and the long side. If you just kind of, I'm going to just clean this up, to be honest. Hold on. Remove drawings.
Yeah, the reason I ask, obviously, because of Ethereum's link to Cardano or vice versa. So it would make sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think there will be some resistance here, I think, and then we'll see what the market is going to do. I think, yeah, I mean, Cardano is rallying. Maybe, you know, we don't know what the reason is or why it's come out, but
yeah, I just had a little look on the news. I couldn't see anything within the last 15, 16 hours. So I don't know what's caused that spike.
Well,
If anybody else knows,
yeah,
let us know.
it might be on Cointelegraph. It's quite good reporting. Yeah. If we take a look at the weekly for a sec, that's what the weekly.
See, if I'm just looking, sorry, mate, if I'm just looking at that daily chart, it looks like we could be coming back down to 41 and then going back up to 48 as a potential option, right? Like from where we are now.
Possibly.
Just looking at that price action.
Yeah. You've got some resistance up here, but I don't have a lot of conviction either way. So this is one of those examples where I wouldn't take a trade because I can make the argument, not with the current level of knowledge. I can see that this could push up or down where it is. It's kind of in the middle. And so, yeah, I mean, there's on a 15-minute chart, I was looking at this earlier. That's why I've got these lines, because I'm often looking for trading opportunities. And what I have seen is this kind of fake out here, which I could have taken short. I didn't. I did catch a move yesterday on Ethereum and Bitcoin. So I took a short. I'll tell you basically where I took it. I've got it here. So I took a short here, and I had a stop at 46.38. So I gave it a little bit of room, and I basically went to the gym, and as I was going to the gym, I could see that it was going up. I thought, oh, damn it, I'm going to come out of the gym. It's going to probably stop me out. And I set my stop, I kept my stop there. And I actually had a target of 44,500, which was down here. So all the way down there. I just stuck it on as if it has a big crash, but with the intention that I'll probably close it out earlier by the end of the day. So I literally came back from the gym and I saw that it was tanking, and it had just hit this super trend, which wasn't available at that time. When I took the trade, the super trend was lower, and so that's why I was looking at it down here. And it started to, and I was like, oh my word, this is going to go up. So I managed to close it around here and make a nice little profit. And this trade here, we could have taken this again as like a little fake out and then a short down to like a level. So I like to just find old little levels like there. We could have easily taken that short with a tight stop. So there's a lot of these kind of things. My preference is to do this. And I did something very similar. Ethereum, I was really unlucky. I caught the move. I made a profit, but I did something very similar, and it missed me by $2, I guess. And the same thing, I came from the gym and it just started to turn up. I was like, oh, has it filled me? No, it hasn't filled me. And it's like, all right, close it. So it's like, it was like.
So let's go into that in a bit more detail when we cover Ethereum. But let's go back now for the longer term. That was great that you gave us that bird's eye view, and it's really good on the 15-minute chart then. So there is that price action that it is obeying those market angle lines that you teach, that you created, and those kind of missing targets, right? It looks like there's a combination of those in your price action analysis. But I love it when you also go back on a bigger scale and give us the broader view of what's likely to happen. And I know we've kind of jumped around a bit, but let's reverse engineer it and head back before we go over to the other monster of crypto, which is Ethereum.
Yeah, let me just let me have a little look a little bit. Let me just have a look at a couple of things here, because that's a really nice reactive line, isn't it? And then you've got, again, that's quite nice. Yeah, I mean, my thought is, however it gets there, I just think this is going to be your main point here, guys. This 50K, 50, 52, I think that's what we need to break if we're going to say we're now looking strong for the uptrend. Because look, now that I've put these lines in, does that paint a slightly different picture? To me, it does. What about to you? Can you see that even here, this line here, like you can see it's reacted there, there, there. There's a strong chance that even if we get to this area here, I think there's a swing play that I can suggest. And it's kind of going back to something that you just said, Gavin, which would be something like this. There's a swing play if we can get it. And I think that's what you focus on to make your money. Don't worry about what Bitcoin is going to do by the end of the year, because that is a hard one to predict right now, because it's subject to what happens when we get to that line. So if you want a swing play, we can get this. I'd be looking and use the lower time frames to help you, but I'd be looking for a buy here to take that up to there. That's your play. That's your nice winner. That you can really grow your account with something like that, with a nice simple trade towards this kind of 41-ish, 41,500 buy to target, let's just say just shy of 50K. So you could get 8-9K per Bitcoin on something like that. And obviously you can do that on a futures account, but you'd have to probably do it on a lower time frame so you can use a nice stop. So I would go down to my 4 hour and 1 hour to really get a nice entry so that you can make this a nice 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 1 trade. And you hold it. And this can happen easily in a week. Like from there to there, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5, 6 days there. Yeah, 5, 6 days. If you take that from there, set the extension off, you could take that move and project it up. That would get you to what we're talking about and beyond, right there. That's 6, 7 days. Like you can get a nice 8, 9 to 1 trade. So, you risk $1,000, you're making $8,000. You risk 500, you're making $4,000. So that's what I would focus on. I would focus on that as opposed to, and if we get up here, I'd be looking for a major short for a pullback. So if we don't go back down here, so I'll give you the other side. If this market just pushes up here, you could be looking for the short back down here like that.
Yeah,
I'm giving you two options there. And then at that point, we might get kind of like a buying market angle line to look to buy it. But we may just stay here for a while. That's what it did in 2017. People are saying, well, there's institutional money now, so we're not going to do the same thing. That's to be seen. That's still speculation. I agree with that sentiment, but it's still speculation. We don't know. So if it repeats 2017, that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to stay in this low for a little while.
Awesome. So just checking in with the comments. Julie's saying, Andy, does that suggest that we are still in the bear market? Or I think you've kind of covered that. It came in a few minutes ago. But yeah, just to clarify on that, what's your position on the sentiment for Bitcoin right now?
Well, I think before I can confirm from a technical point of view that the bull market has returned, I would want two things to happen. One, I would want the market to close above here because I think that's the last line of the seller's angle. And then secondly, I'd like to see the 50 actually cross back above the 200. If we get that, so the 50 crossing above the 200 will probably happen first. So you might get the cross here, and then you can use that cross as a support to buy Bitcoin and see if it can break up. But I would say right now, it's hard to say. I think there's an argument for both sides. So technically speaking, yes, you could say that we're still in a bear market. But we're retracing right now. But it's a strong retracement. And we'll have to just kind of trade what we can see that is obvious and easy to make money with. And then everything else, like I've been saying for quite a few months, use the opportunity to accumulate your coins. Even if you haven't been doing that, if you've been scared, start looking at doing that. You know, you could do a small amount every month. Doesn't need to be like, hey, I'm going all in on Cardano because it's just broken out. Because things can change. So invest small amounts and don't worry about because these things are going to go up, whether it's now or whether it's in a few years. Right now, obviously, everyone's getting excited again. It's nice to see green, but this is kind of, well, I guess this is my experience to say, look, don't get carried away. Don't go into massively leveraged positions because you think this is the worst time to be leveraging yourself right now, because everybody's thinking the market's returning, and that's when it can really crush you. So just be wary of that. That's all. So that scenario can happen, and suddenly all this fear comes back in. Oh my God, we're back at here. We're down here. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I think so. Before we go into Ethereum, I just want to check a couple of other questions. So Nick saying he was hoping for 25K, to be honest. I think quite a few of us were for Bitcoin. And who knows? I mean, do you think we're out of the woods now that is a very low probability now that it's going to go back down below 30?
I don't think it's a low. I think it's very much possible. Like I said, unless we break through here, you'd assume that this is you can. I mean, taking our hope and our sentiment out, like if the market did this, it wouldn't seem that extraordinary, right? It would just be like, oh yeah. So if this was on an hourly chart, you wouldn't think, oh my God, it's impossible for it to do this, would you?
True.
So
Julie's being a bit greedier. I like your style. She's hoping for 21.
Yeah.
Where would that take us down the bottom of that? Oh, yeah, okay.
I made it go lower than 20. So everything is possible. Let me have a little look at something. That would if we were to take out the lows, what the fibs would be telling us. So we're going up to these sort of deeper levels. So if we were to get up to, say, the yellow is at 53, the orange is at 50, so somewhere there, you'd be looking at 22 to 18, 19. That's very much possible. That's very, very much possible. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'd say that once we hit this, I would just be really cautious on buying any more if we can get up to here. And if we do pull back to here and you get a nice opportunity on the lower time frame, then like I said, I would buy it. But yeah, at the moment, there's no way anybody can say with conviction which way the market's going to go. But what we can do with conviction is predict these shorter term moves. I'd say I'm very confident on those.
That's awesome.
That's where you make money.
you are dropping knowledge bombs. If you were here for the FX show yesterday, enough bombs were dropped, and you're starting to drop some more. I can't wait to see what you're going to say about Ethereum. Before we go there, I just want to tell you guys that Andy and I have been working on a new, we're changing the game. We're working on changing the game. So if you're into cryptos, or maybe you're still not sure, you've been watching it and you're like, it moves too fast. I want something a bit more that stays in a range. Maybe something that I don't have to be at my screens as much on, or maybe something that just gives you a bit more confidence that nothing's going too crazy in these fast, wild west moves. We are doing a webinar tomorrow, another masterclass tomorrow night, 8 p.m. BST, and we're looking for 20 people. We've arranged $1 million of live funded accounts, actual live funded accounts, not mentioning any other names of any other companies that may or may not have been in the media over the last week. So we're looking for up to 20 people. You will not have to take a trading assessment, but you can still trade with a live funded account. So I don't want to gate crash the crypto show by talking about FX, but we're working on major changes in the way that people trade FX with professional education, with the knowledge of an ex-hedge fund trader who's traded on some of the biggest banks and trading floors for companies in London. So if that sounds like it might be of interest to you, we'll post the link in this comment section. You've been getting emails about it as well. It's a free event. It's on Zoom, but you do have to register to get the link, and we'll reveal more about that tomorrow. I know it's something that you're really excited about as well, because we've secured a really great partnership with a really great partner. Is there anything you just want to say for like a quick 30-second elevator pitch about that?
No, so if obviously people that have been trading FX with their own accounts, once you've got to the sort of level where you're confident with what you're doing, I think the biggest thing that people need is capital. So that's what we're looking to provide basically. So the evaluation I still think is a good proposition. We also do offer that, but there's some people where that it doesn't really suit their trading style. So if you're more of a swing trader, for example, and you're not taking a lot of trades, you're not going to pass the evaluation where you're required to hit 10% with a certain amount of trading activity. And so we've been kind of brainstorming on how to kind of change the game for people, and so we've basically we're introducing the opportunity for those that qualify to get a live account for the first time without an evaluation. So it will be limited to 20 people to begin with, and we'll kind of use that as a trial for us. Obviously, we're hoping that you're going to do well, so we can all make money from your trading. But yeah, it's a great opportunity for some who are ready to take that next step, who just need that little bit of capital, that helping hand. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow anyway. Cool.
So with that being said, let's jump back into the cryptos. So we did a little bonus on ADA, Cardano. Andy dropped his little knowledge bomb there. He's then broken down Bitcoin, and there's a lot of opportunity. So we're still not out of the woods yet with Bitcoin. There's a couple of trading options that he's given. He gave an example of how you could get an 8-to-1 or a 10-to-1 trade on Bitcoin if it goes up. But on the flip side of that, it could still, the charts are showing us that it could still go down to that $21,000 to $18,000 range. So there are lots of options still. And as Andy said, we're not out of the woods yet. The Bitcoin bull run is not fully back on track. If you're tuning in to the show on the replay and you've missed that so far, then just go ahead and watch the beginning of the show. Scroll back to the Bitcoin analysis, because it's definitely going to be worth your time. But now let's jump into the one that is on a lot of people's lips, especially the last few days with all the news that's come out around the gas fees and reduced gas fees and everything. And that is the other crypto monster that is Ethereum. So take us from the top to the bottom. What are you thinking Ethereum's going to be doing? I almost said Bitcoin then, Freudian slip. What do you think Ethereum's going to be doing over the next few days and weeks based on what you can see on the charts?
Yeah, we'll have a look. I mean, it's got the obvious boost from the hard fork, but the thing now is like, where do we go next? Overall, I'm bullish on this on this crypto. I think, I've spoken about this for quite a while. I'm more bullish on Ethereum than I am on Bitcoin.
Why? The big question, why? Is it just purely through your technical analysis, or is there anything else that helps with that? Because that's a big statement for you. Like, after what you said, you're not prepared to say about Bitcoin just then. For you to say that with that assurity on Ethereum, I have to ask why.
Well, I think there's a number of fundamental reasons, but I think the biggest thing is that, I think Ethereum has been held back by the extremely high gas fees. And obviously the whole market's pulled back. But I think Ethereum, in comparison to Bitcoin, is undervalued. I think there's a lot of potential in terms of what it does. It does a lot more than what Bitcoin does. And yes, Cardano is its competitor, and Polkadot, but first to market, developers already using it, and the only, which gives it that kind of brand and stability and trust, that it's the go-to. And I think there's so many projects now that are built on the Ethereum network that I find it almost impossible to think that this isn't going to explode higher, because it's just, anybody holding back has been holding back maybe because of the gas fees. And I've experienced the gas fees, and it is expensive to convert Ethereum into other ERC20 tokens, but that's getting sorted. And it's got the name and the usage is already there. So from that point of view, and there's a lot of other things that I could talk about that I won't get into now, but from a fundamental point of view, there's a lot to it that is going to create, even with steady demand, the supply is going to get reduced over time. It's called the triple halving. I mean, Bitcoin's experienced it. And the demand for me is only going to increase now with the gas fee. So I'm definitely looking, as I said at the start of the year, at a 10K Ethereum, and then beyond that. And I do think I'm bullish on Bitcoin overall. I'm just not convinced right now that Bitcoin is where I should be putting my money. I think there's better places where I think it will grow better, rather than adding Bitcoin to my portfolio. So from a technical point of view, I mean, this is the 50 EMA here, and you can see on the weekly EMA, that's on the weekly. This is basically where we pulled back to. We pretty much went back to that 50 there, and that's where we've held and pushed up. From a confidence point of view, I'm not yet overly convinced that we're about to break the highs. There's a couple of things, but it's not the be all and end all. But like right now, I mean, I can see, for example, like the selling volume here was strong. We have seen a little bit of an increase in volume here, but yeah, as you can see, it's not on these. It's still relatively low compared to what it was, but there's certainly some interest that's still coming in. I think it's a good buy for the long term still, but from a short term point of view, I still prefer to trade Ethereum. I prefer to find those little pockets of opportunities like I showed there with Bitcoin. But yeah, certainly, I'll do a bit more of an analysis on this on the daily chart to see what else we can see. So just from a technical point of view, you can see, you want to look at the levels where this market has reacted in the past. So that's an obvious one, 3,443. Let's see what else we got here that we can kind of talk about. So we'll look at the see that there, see how it reacted and then broke through. So that's bullish. And then if we just take that high resistance line there, and I'll do one more thing here, guys. So I think that might help people see the picture now.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, we're at a potential hidden resistance. So that could create a little bit of a pullback, maybe towards this last little spike here. You can see it's quite a nice area. So I'll tell you a level you can mark down. Right there. That looks like a nice level to mark down. 2750. That could be a nice area to buy some spot on this, or trade it up. You could even look for a potential short down here, up here somewhere, if you can find something on the lower time frame. Right now we had a quite a strong closing bar, and we're actually holding here as support. So we might just have another little push up, and possibly, I mean, the ideal would be a push up here. That would about that 3.5. If that kind of goes up there, I think that's the place where you the higher probability of a short comes in there, about 3.5. Otherwise, just on this time frame, I think that there looks like a good buy zone around sort of 2.7. And then, you can do it as a short-term play like there, because you could, again, similar to what we said with Bitcoin, you could also get something like that. So as I said before at the start of the show, like right now, I wouldn't be leveraging long. If anything, spot or trade what you see. And so that's kind of that's the picture. And I think, again, as I kind of said, I think ideally you kind of want to see the market in this zone here before I start to get really bullish. And I know you might think, wow, that's far up. But the thing is like, if you saw how I grew my account before, it's because I wasn't leveraging in these spots. I'm leveraging when I get confirmation. Like I'm leveraging when I say, okay, well, look, the path is clear now. So now when I buy a pullback, I can say with confidence that we're going to go higher. And so then I catch that move because there's no resistance, there's no sellers coming in. So you catch a really fast move with a tight stop. And so it doesn't really, when you're using leverage, it doesn't matter if you're buying at 4 or 4.5 or 5. because if I'm buying here at 3, of course you prefer to buy at 3, but then we have that risk of like, well, hold on a minute. If I'm leveraging, I'm using money that's not mine, and I'm wrong, and this market actually isn't going up, and I've leveraged myself, and this starts to happen on a spot. You can hold this. You're like, well, do you know what? That's fine. It's part of my strategy. That's great. I'm happy. In fact, you know what? Let it go down. I'll hold my spot and I'll buy some more because I know the long term is up, and you know you're building wealth for yourself. Whereas when you're on a leveraged position, you can't do that. So that's why you leverage and trade short term. Take your profits, put it into spot. That's the best strategy right now. I think we'll stop there on analysis. Any questions?
Mate, that's been awesome. Guys, with the last few minutes that we've got, just let us know if you've got any questions or comments. I saw Kevin mentioned earlier, thanks a lot for that. The US Senate are voting on a bill apparently to tax cryptos. Don't know too much about it, but seen lots on Twitter. It could impact movement today, as I believe there's a vote about it today. You know, when you look at that chart, it makes a lot of sense about what you're saying, but it does feel like we're going to need some sort of mini black swan news event to help it go back down to those lower levels, right? Otherwise, it could just stay ranging.
Event. I think it's just
a mini black swan. So like a black guinea pig, if you will.
I think the powers that be will. There's always ways, like you've seen how the market's moved with just some Elon Musk tweets. So there's I don't necessarily think it's going to be like a big massive crash if it does go down. I think it will just be one of those where maybe you have one day of a big push and to liquidate some people. But yeah, it's there could be news that affects it, but ultimately we can read everything from the charts without the news, and the news is just something for journalists to explain what's happened.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue there's a lot of people that have been involved in a controlled demolition of the crypto markets, and could there be one last push down to sweep out some more over leveraged people before the inevitable happens, and cryptos do end up going back up? So yeah, it's going to be an interesting ride, and I'm really grateful to see it. When I first came in, when you introduced it to me at the end of February, when we launched the program, it was like you don't really have like an awareness of like the leverage and the margin side of things, and to hear you speaking like with such responsibility now, like even you with your expertise and your experience and knowledge, and you're like, guys, I'm not taking margin trades, and you've explained what you're doing and stuff like that. It's really humbling to see, you know, you are a man of your craft, and you know, you stick to your rules. And obviously when it's time to open up the gates and let the pony run loose, then obviously there's a time and a place for it. And I guess that is that experience level that you've got, where you've been around the block to see too many of these false dawns, and then for you to just get slapped around the face with a wet fish and people go, see, told you, we're not letting you have it that easy.
Yeah, I think the thing to note is what I kind of mentioned that maybe people didn't get, is that once you've got that clear path, you know, it really isn't going to make a big difference, like whether you got in at 3 or 2 or 1 versus 4 or 5. Because if you think of it like this, if you've got 5,000 to play with, but because the conditions are right and you're using good risk management, you've now got 50k to play with instead of 5 because you're using leverage, the numbers are just going to be explosive. Like, you've just got to be prepared and just have a plan and wait for those conditions to be there where everybody's like, okay, well, now I think I see, like right now, you go online, you'll have a mixed bag of opinions of whether like if you go onto different groups or Twitter or whatever, you'll see it's not like it was pre 65k Bitcoin. Like, it is mixed. So you've got the people that are saying, yeah, market's back. And then you've got people that are saying, hey, be careful, the rug might be pulled from under us again. So you've got that fear in the market, which is going to be translated in price. Like those little sentiment things that you read online, that will be translated to the price. So the thing for me is like just trade, make money, and let everybody else worry about the guessing game. Just follow your plan. So it's like just accumulate your coins. If it goes higher, great. If it goes lower, great, because we're buying at spot, and we know, in the short term, you might think, oh man, my portfolio was 200k, it's only 90k now, for example. But you've got to think, where is this going to be? It's now given me an opportunity. So if you really believe, for example, Ethereum's going to be 10k, right? You know with certainty, as certain as you can be, and right now it's 3, and you buy it at 3, and then you're like, it starts to go down. Why should you be upset? You're not leveraged. Why should you be upset? You're now saying, well, no, I know it's going to be at 10, so I'll buy some more at 2, and at 1.5, and at 1, if God gives us that gift. So that's your mental approach, right? That should be your mental approach. And then the other side of it is like, well, have a few grand into a futures account and learn the mastery of what we teach. Master it because it works. And then take your trade, build your account up, and just keep buying spot. That's what all you need to do. And then the next 4 or 5 years, as I've said it, most people will be able to retire, I could say, or at least be in a really good financial position. That's honestly what I believe. So, yeah.
Here. Amen to that one, brother. So, guys, thank you very much for your time. Thanks a lot for coming here. Thanks a lot for your questions. If you're watching the replay, hope you enjoyed it as usual. And yeah, if you're going to be at the webinar tomorrow to find out the new things that we're working on in the FX world, then please register for that and feel free to come along. And if you're unsure about FX or cryptos, come and have a look and see what you think. The great thing about this is that there's more and more opportunities opening up, whichever you're looking at. And like you've just said then with spot, if you're buying something and it's going down, if you don't sell it, you haven't lost anything. There is still the psychological game to play, which Andy was alluding to, but you still haven't lost anything. And the opportunities that are there for us now to not say, I want to do something in 2 months and I want to be financially free, if it's not permissible, but 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, it's very, very achievable. And a lot of people are realizing it. And if you've got a solid plan, then who knows where you're going to end up. It's going to be fun to see what happens over the next few months and years, right, mate?
It is, mate. It is. I think 5 years goes so quickly. And if you haven't taken advantage, you'll kick yourself. Like, honestly, in 5 years, you can save this video. We'll be looking at these markets and we'll be like, oh my word, I cannot believe we could have bought Ethereum for $3,000. It's 15 or it's 45. Like it wouldn't be, it's not unthinkable. That's what I think it'll be higher than that. It'll be 40, 45. And Bitcoin could be 3, 4, 500,000. And you'll be like, oh my word, we could have actually bought Bitcoin for 40K. Why the hell didn't I do it? That's honestly what we'll be, that's what I believe we'll be saying in 5 years. If we're still doing this show in 5 years' time.
Can you imagine?
I'll tell you what, guys, if we stop this show, we'll do an exclusive live in 2026, a one-off event. All right? Put it in your diaries to catch back up on this video.
That would be a fun event. But who knows? Maybe we might even be able to do one in person then.
And
maybe we might even
be able to have a beard by then, and I'll be clean shaven.
That's really mean. Look, come on. We're not all Greek gods with our Zeus sword like you. Just checking into Julie's questions. has the invitation for tomorrow's webinar been sent out? The emails have been sent out. Maybe you haven't opened them. Look for the emails from me or from London Trading Institute. Otherwise, just reach out to us on Facebook, through Facebook, and we'll make sure we get you the invite. Someone else has said that as well, Facebook user, haven't seen any invitation for tomorrow's webinar. It's going on, you've got to register, but it'll be happening from 8 p.m. BST. Stuart Stone Masonry, a new name, great photo. Cheers, men. Thank you very much for your time, Stuart. And Shannon Wells says, thanks, Andy. Hope the new baby is well.
She's great. Thanks, Shannon. She's a good one.
You just probably wish she would sleep a bit more, right?
Yes.
And on that note, guys, we are going to bounce. Let Mr. Demi get a power nap. For those of you that registered, we'll see you at the FX webinar tomorrow night. See you guys.
See you guys.